Over the past 25 years, I've had the privilege of interviewing and highlighting some truly interesting people. I mean, everyone who is anyone, both the famous and the infamous, from presidents and their first ladies to kings and queens, movie stars and pop stars, captains of industry, heads of state, sports personalities, innovative entrepreneurs, and some pretty fascinating everyday people. Today, I am proud to introduce you to Zulu Ali, an attorney and activist who hopes to build a legal legacy that he can pass on to his children and grandchildren, but also a legacy that will go beyond and inspire and motivate others. Mr. Ali, or should I say colleague, it's such a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. It's definitely a pleasure to meet you and to be here as well.
So, Counselor, clearly you have devoted your entire life to law enforcement, serving as a police officer first, turned attorney. What made you choose this path for yourself?
Well, actually, becoming an attorney was actually my original passion. Has always been a passion of mine. I'm originally from Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is about 60 miles south of Nashville.
You know, I love a
And
country boy. I'm a country girl. I'm from North Carolina.
oh wow, yeah. So and I was raised in a single parent home, and so I spent a lot of time with my grandparents.
Mhm.
And my grandfather, A.D. Reynolds, he was a janitor. He actually cleaned law offices. And one day when I was probably maybe about 7 or 8 years old, he took me to work with him. And the name of the law office that he was cleaning, it was an attorney by the name of Tyrus Cobb. And he took me into the law library and he introduced me to Attorney Cobb. He said, "This is my grandson. He's going to be the next Avon Williams." And Avon Williams is a really great civil rights lawyer out of Nashville. And in fact, he's the cousin of Thurgood Marshall. And then Attorney Cobb, told me about how great of an attorney Avon Williams was, and Z. Alexander Luby and Thurgood Marshall, and how they changed the world. And I left there that day thinking, you know what, that's what I wanted to do. But life takes its course. I become a police officer, and one day I'm in probate court,
Wow.
and the judge in probate court was actually the attorney that my grandfather had introduced me to 20 years earlier. And when he called my case, he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to meet the next Avon Williams." And he, told me how great of a man my grandfather was and how proud. My grandfather actually had passed away when I was in the military. So he told me about how great of a man my grandfather was, and I got extremely emotional and decided that I was going to go back to school and pursue, my original dream of becoming an attorney, and I did that.
Just as your grandfather had predicted. And speaking of your work in the military, I understand that you actually served in the United States Marine Corps. So what was that experience like?
It was a very I learned a lot being in the Marine Corps. It's actually something I'm extremely proud of. My service in the Marine Corps. Um, my MOS, I was an infantryman, but I spent the majority of my career in the Marine Security Forces, serving at at Pearl Harbor in the Marine barracks there, and it was a great experience. I learned a lot about myself, a lot about discipline. Um, Met some really great men and women that I served with, colleagues that I still have contacts with today. And it also inspired me. I have actually here in California a veterans legal clinic where we assist military veterans as well as active duty military personnel with legal matters, at no cost here at the office. The Marine Corps and military definitely has a very
Mhm.
special place in my heart. So definitely, it was a great experience for me.
And I have to imagine it helped you with team building because together with your daughter, you now run the largest Black owned law firm in California's Inland Empire. So, thinking about your variety of experiences, what are the benefits of having such strong business partnerships with a family member since you have been working under the auspices of your grandfather's prediction all these years.
Right. Yeah. It's great. I mean, having my daughter, her name is Whitney Ali, and she's been with me for a few years now, working, alongside. I mean, that's very special to have my daughter here with me. I mean, she actually, with law being a second career for me, she was able to see me go through my undergraduate education, graduate education, and building the firm. So she was able to see that, and so that's, she talks about that a lot, and it's very special, for her. But it's just great having a daughter and someone who can, carry on, that legacy. I'm an old Southern boy, so the being a lawyer is something special and something great, something that you can do to, change things, to challenge things. And that's what we focus on, is trying to um, challenge the courts when we feel that it's necessary, and strive to make changes in the law when the law is unjust, and to have a team of people with you that share that same passion. It's a great thing.
And speaking of making those kinds of incremental changes, obviously the culture in our country manifests itself sometime in that change. As a matter of fact, I know that what was going on within our Black and Brown communities, stop and frisk amongst law enforcement, really inspired you to create the Stop and Frisk Academy. Why don't you talk me through what its purpose is and how did you come to start it?
All right. So back in, I believe it was maybe 2014 is when we initially started the Stop and Frisk Academy. And it's always just been something that I've, you know, definitely been inspired to do. One of the things I remember that I was concerned with, a lot of the things that we've already known as far as Black and Brown people, the experiences that we were dealing with when it comes to law enforcement. I was just frustrated. I remember one night, and I had a dream, about my grandmother, and I was just frustrated. I mean, just frustrated about dealing with the system and dealing with, the problems, of course, that you have not only in the streets, but oftentimes that you have in the courts. And so anyway, so I have this dream, and I get up, and I just woke up with this just desire and a passion to really do something to help make a difference, for both young men and women. That's kind of the things that I like to focus on, is mentoring young men and women. And a friend of mine who actually had a mentoring program, I touched bases with him, and we got together, and we put together this program called Stop and Frisk, where we, at least on a monthly basis, we bring in young men and women, primarily from the inner city and from at-risk communities. We just bring them in, and we teach them. We spend a lot of time talking about how to deal with police encounters, how to deal with issues of the criminal justice system, how to avoid falling into the traps of the criminal justice system. And we teach them other things, such as, we provide them with information about career, educational, leadership skills, time management skills, whatever we can do to, what I often say is to kind of stay out of the way, and to be progressive. But it's a very, and we've been doing this every month, except during the pandemic, of course, we stopped. But a couple of months we started again with the program, and we also take the kids out to, see movies. We'll bring them to just different places for them to see that anything is possible, despite, the issues and the problems. And it's just, something that I love to do. And it's just a program that is near, again, is really near and dear to me.
I see that your work has taken you not just for community activism and changes in the laws, and then also teaching people how to navigate around the justice system. But I also understand you do some work in international law. Tell me about that.
I do. Right before the pandemic, I was on the list of counsel at the International Criminal Court
Okay.
at The Hague, and started to get involved in doing a little work with representing witnesses as well as individuals who are involved or are accused of crimes at the International Criminal Court.
Hmm.
We actually had opened up a an office actually in the Netherlands. Unfortunately, like I said, this was probably right before the pandemic,
Oh,
and so
yeah.
we're trying to get back into that. But that's kind of what primarily my international practice is focusing on the International Criminal Court. And we also do a lot of international work with individuals who are seeking asylum because I do immigration work as well. So a lot of people who are trying to come to the country as refugees, as well as individuals who are in the country and fearful of going back to their countries of origin. We do asylum cases, and we as well as relief under the Convention Against Torture as well.
Black man's religion, Islam or Christianity. When I read that title, I immediately said, let me see if I can go on Amazon and get this because I know my nephews would love to read that. So
Right.
talk me through what this book is about.
Well, this book is a book that I wrote after I had went to Mecca.
Mhm.
Uh, this was back in 1997, and I had taken the Hajj, the pilgrimage. And so when I came back, I actually wrote the book. Primarily, the book is focused more on um, the Unitarianism, of God, and I kind of like compared the two. But what was really special about that was the first book that I wrote, and um, it actually is in the Library of Congress, and it was one of the books that it was owned by one of my favorite people and the civil rights icon Rosa Parks as part of Rosa Parks Papers. And that's the reason why I really, the fact that someone that I hold in such, high esteem and have so much respect for would even consider even owning a book that I wrote. That's the reason, honestly, that I really, I'm very proud of that. That's very proud, a proud moment for me to know this. That was something that she owned.
As well, you should be, counselor. As well, you should be. As I hear you talk me through your story professionally and personally, it is very clear that family has been the foundation of who you are as a man and as a professional. So, what role do you think family has played in your personal and professional career?
Everything. I mean, my family basically part of it, beginning with my mother, who I said was a single parent who, raised me. She worked two jobs. She gave me everything that I wanted and everything that I needed. And she was mom and dad to me, and she's just a hero. Watching her and what she had to go through and what she gave me. My mother's, is responsible. Whatever I have, I mean, that's the face you have to see because she's the one that's responsible for all of it. So I give everything, to my mother. My wife, I've been married for 35 years, and since I was 19 years old. And so she's always been there with me and supported me in everything that I did. And then, we have four daughters that are grown now, but, they also, are very proud of me. And, having children that are proud of you is also important. So they continue to inspire me. And being a grandfather now as well. I actually have four grandchildren, so that's also inspiration. And even going back to my grandparents, my grandfather who was a janitor, and that's just to think that my grandfather was cleaning law offices, and today I own a law office.
Mhm.
And so, that's it just speaks volumes to, what happens when you have people who inspire you
Mhm.
and and he inspired me as a man. He was a great family man. He took care of his family, and so he touched me in that way as well. I knew what it took to be a man because I was able to watch a man be a man. So that's really important to me. So yeah, family is everything.
Well, it's so very clear you had that strong mother, that wonderful, strong wife, and you've become the ultimate girl dad because those women have showed you exactly how
Right,
women are supposed to be treated because they
right,
have raised an amazing man. Counselor, it's been a
right.
pleasure to chat with you. I want to make sure that you convey what's the one thing you'd like the viewer of this video feature to walk away with, because the work that you have done will last for an extremely long time, much past your life and my life. And I do think will inspire others.
Unfortunately, we still live in a time that the way that you look, sometimes people are going to, I guess as they say in the streets. I mean, there's a lot of haters
Right.
and people who hate your success.
Mm-hmm.
And people who may not want you to be successful. But I just want to inspire people that to go out and to fight and struggle to do to be the best you that you possibly can be, and to not allow anyone to stand in your way or try to prevent you from what's yours, and to realize the greatness in you, and that's what I hope people take away from it, is that you can still, regardless. I mean, you're going to run into challenges. People are going to hate on you, and people are going to try to hold you down. But keep fighting, and you will be successful ultimately.
And since you brought up what is a saying in the streets, let me go ahead and add to that. You are telling folk to let your haters be your motivators.
That's right.
And
Absolutely.
that's what our mamas would say to us. Make your haters your
Right.
motivators. Well,
Absolutely.
sir, you have just been a delight. There's nothing I like more than talking to my colleagues and finding out what inspired them to find their purpose in the law. The law has always been the great equalizer for me.
Right.
The possibility exists for justice, and I just admire those who work tirelessly every single day to make that happen for others. Thank you, sir.